And then everybody woke up. I think it was about November-ish, if I remember well, October, November-ish. And everybody woke up and said, oh, there is too much chicken. Was there too much chicken in Victoria Falls? Was there too much chicken in Zambia? The whole thing about a business or about production is that the market has got to be viewed. Remember what we said earlier on. A business must be predicated on meeting other people's needs. All right. So when I go and I set up a chicken run and I start doing chickens without having established need, it's not a business. It's already violated the very first essence of business. So and you know how news travels amongst us black people. We Colgate here Disa, so we all rush to Botswana. We buy Colgate, come back with 4 cartons. Now when ulabangan bakwe airport alapana, bring a truckload, you pay them $200. The Colgate comes in here, then you arrive in Bulawayo, and then you start thinking, okay, who should I sell it to? Who wants it? Why? Because you never established the demand for it before you went. All right. Now, so you've now got all that chicken at that time. Are you aware that at the time when people were sitting, in fact, there were people sitting with like 20,000 beds in cold rooms? I was told NGOs were sitting with 30,000 beds in cold rooms. Are you aware that anything you take to the DRC people in Harare have become millionaires selling oranges in the DRC? Oranges. And they didn't grow them. They went to Mazoe. They arranged with farmers. They sent 4 gonyas to the DRC, and apparently the prices they were, I think a bag of oranges here was costing $5. $5. In the DRC, I understand they were fetching like 15 or so dollars per bag. And this person was sending 4 gonyas. All right. Well, why were they sending them to the DRC? Because that is where the demand was. They didn't buy a farm. They don't know how to grow oranges. They don't know what is involved in it. All they did was they did business. And what is business? They went and they saw a need and they fulfilled the need. That is the beginning and the end of business. When there is no need, don't fulfill the absence of need. Okay, so come back to chickens. The biggest chicken producer in Bulawayo slaughters 9,000 a day. That's Big Brother chickens. The second largest is supposed to be Drummond. The third one, well, Sunset, but what is their name? White Star. White Star. The White Star, remember, is Drummond now. It's no longer the engineering company people, the white guys. Okay, so just the top 3. If you say 9,000 for Big Brother, this is per day, by the way. And let us assume we put the second one at 6,000. Okay, that gives us 15. And if we put the last one maybe at 5,000, That gives us how many per day? 20,000. What is the population of Bulawayo? Close to 1.2. My estimates say about 1.5, between 1.5 and 1.7. And on good authority, I estimate the population of Zimbabwe to be between 12 and a half to 14 million. Bulawayo is the second largest. There's no way Bulawayo can be about a million or 1.2. Because if Bulawayo is going to be a million or 1.2, that becomes less than 10%. That doesn't make sense. That Bulawayo could be less than 10%. So, if we said 1.5 million people, and chicken is eaten in our homes at least every other day, so the average family actually eats chicken now. We used to eat beef 7 days a week. Now we are eating chicken a minimum 4 times a week. Is that correct or no? 4 times a week. Okay. So we say 1.5 million people. Okay, well, I'll take it down to 1.2. At least then I don't have people leaving the ministry. 1.2 million people. A family household will eat, that's a normal family household, not ours. Ours eat a whole chicken. You know, they cook a whole chicken. In fact, my family doesn't believe in cooking half a chicken. They cook a whole chicken even if there is 3 of us or 4 of us. Somebody else will come and finish it off. Now, so if we said an average family will eat half a chicken, remember we are talking of this family. There are 4 people here. Shall I say half a chicken? Okay. So if we say the average family will eat half a chicken, all right, and chicken is eaten 4 times a week. Is that correct? Which means 2 chickens a week. By an average family of 4 people. What is 1.2 million divided by 4? $300,000 chickens a week. We're talking Bulawayo, we're not talking Zimbabwe. Okay, so it makes you uncomfortable, you are unhappy. For your sake, I could cut it to half. Make it 150,000. Realistically, you know how much chickens you eat a week. And just to show you how big this chicken market is, I don't know, I haven't been to Kodini in a couple of years now. But last time I went there were people selling small packets for $1. Is that still happening? Where do you think that chicken is coming from? Because it's not coming from Brazil anymore. It's local. Are we getting there? All right. Now, what is 150,000 divided by 7? 20? 20? 3,000 per day. Victoria Falls relies on Bulawayo. Plumtree relies on Bulawayo. And there is actually no reason why Bulawayo should not be supplying Gweru and Wange Shavane, and places like that. Is it clearing now? Okay, so let's go from there. So, all I'm trying to do is demonstrate, and remember the 23,000 is based on 150, and it is not based on the 300,000. But that number is also based on household, not chicken in, chicken slice, Nando's, which by the way is almost dead now. Chicken, I passed by what chicken in Gweru, the one as you head out of Gweru, where the coach stops, on the run. I don't know how people manage that. The flies inside the place. Then I needed to wash my hands. Entered the bathroom and came out. And Changane said to me, Teddy, this is standard in all these places now. It's normal. So, we're not talking of these businesses. And I haven't asked these businesses how much chicken they actually use. How much chicken does KFC, Nando's, chicken slice, blah, 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 use? And those are the ones we normally look at. We're not looking at the caravans, the restaurants. You said you were supplying a restaurant in Shangani. Okay, and how many does he take? It takes about 25 a week. And this is Shangani. 25 a week. And I guarantee you, I've never seen a place in Shangani that was buzzing in such a way that I recognized it. So if he's taking 25 a week, is 25 a week, that's what, about 3.5 a day. You're beginning to see the picture now. We haven't even started talking about your additional markets, your pet food production, your, and in fact, let me just stop on pet food. You and me don't talk about pet food because we were raised the traditional way. The traditional way is your chicken, your dogs eat your leftovers. Everywhere else in the world, pet food is a multi-billion-dollar business. And pet food is made from amatumbu, lana eswathengisayo kodini, the matumbus and the insides of the chickens. Those are what then go to make pet food. Are we catching the vision now? Okay, so let's go to the costing framework. So you now know, as I said, we are not talking about Kokom Kwananzi's chickens right now. Because we want Kokom Kwananzi to be approached by choppies to say we need so many per week. And Kokom Kwananzi can supply so many per week. And then someone says, no, the choppies chickens are nice, where are they buying them from? Then another person comes and Kokom Kwanan says, okay, give me some time. My capacity, I can't give you anything right now. I'll start supplying you guys in June. For chickens, is you have the chicks, you have the feed, you have the staff costs, you have the medicines, Okay, you have the transportation. Sorry? Yeah, okay, so your utilities. Let me just call it utilities because it will be your water and all and all. Your chicks average $1 per chick at the moment. Your feed, depending, is about $3.20 to $3.50. That's your biggest cost right now, and I believe a cost that we can cut. We'll talk about it in a moment. Your staffing costs, I don't know on what they base that on. They have it on 80 cents per chick for the person minding the chicks, or the people minding the chicks. Your meds, I think was on about, was it 15 or 20 cents? 10 cents. Okay. Your transport was 20 cents. And your utilities, how much? Okay. But all of those are included in that figure. So that's just breaking them down. But they're included in that figure. Now, after you've done your chicks, remember on here we are looking at you developing the chickens. This is not an outgrower program. As a matter of fact, right now, my investigations have proven that they are not, most people are not outgrowing. The second largest, who is, no, the third largest, who is Hygro. Hygro stopped outgrowing, they claim, in 2004. Obviously, I'm not so sure that their relatives are not on the program. But anyway, they claim to have stopped outgrowing in 2004. Big Brother, I know very little about. Now, your current, as of the present moment, your market price went up last week to $2.15 a kg. Okay. I was a bit skeptical, but after a few investigations, I was then informed by several people who I interviewed that they will do easily, conditions being fine, between 2.5 to actually 3 kgs in 6 weeks. Okay. Now, for purposes of this, I'm going to use 2.5 as the basis. If we use 2.5, not 2.5, yes, 2.5 kgs. That will give you $5.25 for a 2.5 kg chicken. Is that correct? $5.25. On $5.25, if you then come and take out $3.50, that gives you $1.75. Correct? All right. But on that, $1.75 would be when we are running not an outgrower program, but when you're running your own, you're doing your own production. There are two things that I want us to consider. A lot of people who are doing their own chickens right now are actually on this system. But they're selling 200 chickens at $1.75. And for me, it doesn't work. So instead of selling $1.75, if you can outgrow at 95 cents and sell 1,000. So outgrow 1,000 beds at 95 cents. It's $950. 200 chickens at $1.75 gives you 350. So why am I not saying 1,000 chickens at $1.75? Because then you would have already gone and motivated the market yourself. And the difference now is the guys doing the outgrowing, they have themselves gone using their muscle, branded themselves, and cornered the market. Is it making sense? So, kuzwakala kungcono ukuthi khona uthi mina mfundi ngithola $1.75. But uyahamba uye kuthi ku Rainbow athi yena this week give us 65. Or then you go there again, but this week let trade fair give us 400 when you've got 150. So the business model doesn't work until now we come to what is in my mind is the same principle these guys have used. So you have this number of people, you create enough critical mass in terms of muscle that you are able to go and say to Choppies or to whoever, how many chickens do you need a week? Oh, yeah, can you afford 5,000? Say, no, we can give you 20,000 a week. Now you've shut the person up. The reason why you and me cannot go and live on a cycle at $1.75 is because by the time you've done your 6 weeks, remember, you need to leave them open between 2 and 3 weeks, 14 to 21 days, and actually disinfect the runs in a proper way. I went somewhere yesterday. The runs don't have concrete on the floor, so they were literally shoveling over. They were shoveling, and I'm asking myself, what's going to happen here after a year? This thing, Pella, is going to, the bottom is going to be going down. And remember, then after you do that, you've then got to pour diesel. You disinfect, then you pour diesel. And you've got to continuously disinfect. And for me, the savings are not there. Secondly, if I had the concrete floor, I can then take that and go and feed my cattle. But how am I going to be feeding my cattle from Umkuba Otwelin Tabat? So that's a waste that is taking place there. All right. So, do I believe this, the $1.75 way? No, I don't. Do I believe only the contract way? No, I don't. What do I believe? Is a combination of both. I believe that we need to, right now I have 2 people who have said, let's talk when you start production. We will take all your chickens. Right? So, if we can work this element here is a subjective element. This element here is a subjective element. I believe, okay, for argument's sake, Kokom Kwananzi has got the place you grow the maize. Is that about an acre? Around an acre. Yeah, okay. I don't know what the calculations for maize are. What is maize production per hectare? What is standard? We don't know. Okay, so I won't guess. But put it this way. If I could grow all my maize, because your chicken feed is maize, then you add on your concentrates and other things. If I took out the maize element, what does that represent in terms of price? I can almost guarantee you that it would reduce your cost by about 50%. That 50% you drop it down into the profit immediately. So these people, when we now start talking of contract farming, when you're contract farming, then all you do is you concentrate on just the contract farming, but you have your own section NAPA, because what happens tomorrow when these people are taking 10,000 beds from you every 6 weeks? Then they come back and say, our business has died. That means your business has also died. But if I can do the 10,000 beds here, and I can then do my own $1.75 margin beds this side here, and I can do 2,000 to 3,000 every 6 weeks. The money might not be as efficient in terms of its payment this side, because then what I want to do is I want to go to the big consumers, make it my $1.75, and say you pay me after 7 days. Are we together? Okay. Look at the difference. One of the things I've never really been able, it's been bothering me over the years. Every time we know there is going to be a problem, what do? We withdraw from the economy. And it's shocked me how the Jews never withdraw. The Jews don't withdraw. They keep running. It's the understanding of the principle of money as opposed to the reaction to the negative. So you find a way of processing the money as opposed to dropping off the economic bus. Are we still here? So the model I'm proposing is that you do both. You do 75%. That would be contract related. At the moment, where I am, after talking to two of the producers, and they're saying, look, we will take every bed from you. We will pay $2. In fact, the price has fluctuated between $2 and $2.15. I understand in the last 2 years. We will take between $2 and $2.15 per bed, per kg. And anything you produce, we will buy it, we will take it off your hands. And I'm saying that's fine. When I look at that mathematics, it's then working out at about 1,000 beds is the minimum anyone sitting here should be looking at doing. 1,000 beds takes you just slightly above the poverty datum line. At 5% mortality, 1,000 beds means you're going to be you'll come out with 950 beds, because 5% seems to be a generally, I've checked the Food and Agricultural Organization, I've checked with the Poultry Producers Association in South Africa. They're all talking about 5%. It's almost like it's a biblical one. Okay, so at 5%, that's 950. Okay, now, how then do we go from here? Number one, we need to get serious about the sort of chicken runs we are doing. Not the Kokomkon and the Sekuruchino chicken runs. We need to do proper chicken runs. All right? You cannot do something right with the wrong basis. Right? We have to do this thing right. I've been trying to do the numbers for the chicken runs, and so far I didn't exactly do, I didn't come up with a very good base. However, the ones I did for you, the production, okay, let me put it this way. Your stocking rate for your mature beds is between 15 and 20 per square meter. Okay, your chicks obviously is multiply that number by 5. You can have 100 beds per square meter. Okay. In terms of, I haven't found a chicken run design that I looked at and I said yes, because it excited me so much. I've been looking at different ones. I'm going to be looking at some chicken runs today on the road to Choloj. Yeah, okay. I'm going to be looking at some chicken runs there. The key word is so that you are not investing in chicken runs in such a way that the chicken runs are taken away from the capital. But you can't compromise the chicken runs at the same time. There is then issues that matter to me. Number one, issues like how far the proximity of the chicken run, for those of you who are doing this, is in Vin. How far do you place the chicken runs from where you are? The paradox about this meeting, by the way, is that the person who I actually planned to do this for is not even here. That's the only reason I actually got to do this was because there was someone and they have cash that is sitting, and I know that cash is going to be wasted unless I help them get to work with it. Now, those of you who are going to be doing this project at home, be sure you can do it at home. Chicken runs are smelly, badly smelly. There is a family in Kumalo that does chicken runs. I love people to make money, but I'd like to see them evicted. They don't affect me because wind direction does not send their smell my side. But look, you don't buy a house in a suburb so that you can smell chickens. It's a violation of the local zone. Okay. So that you don't have a conflict with yourself, ensure your chicken runs, if you have the space, are going to be away from the windward side coming to the house. Your wind in Bulawayo, by and large, blows south. It goes northwest this way. So if you have your house here and your chicken runs there, you're going to be living in a chicken run for the rest of your life. So your house will need to be, or your chicken runs will need to be between north and northwest of your house. Okay. Other factors to consider. Your chicken runs should always be, the aspect of your chicken runs should always be east to west. So meaning you cannot right now, is by majority of us, by the way, are direction hopeless. When was it when I had a group of people and they were totally, when? LTS. I've always taken it for granted what people naturally knew directions, but I thought it was only Prophet Ndweni, but it's okay. Which direction am I facing right now? See, I just wanted to demonstrate that. I can't be facing north. North is this way. South is this way. East is that way. West is that way. Okay, so your chicken runs, if you were to build them here, your chicken runs have to be built this way. Why? Because so that your wind, because you've got to have enough ventilation, your wind must go that way. Secondly, it is not recommended to build your chicken runs using zincs. However, we do it because of with locus. Preferably asbestos, but asbestos is expensive. Okay. I've been toying in my head with an idea. I don't know how effective it will be, but you take a matansi. So you put your zinc and then you also fire matansi pants. Or if it can be proven that the grass does not, no, it can't, it actually can't. That's fine. So you do ukambie tatuchan. So put, as it were, a bit of thatch, not a thatch roof, but ufaguchani, then ubusufaga your zincs on top, because uchani cools, it absorbs heat. The zincs don't absorb heat, they transmit heat. Are we getting that? All right. If your yard, yours don't do. Yeah, because yours are on the windward side to the house. In fact, yours feed directly into the house. So, what we are going to do is, I have 2 pieces of land. That is, now I'm talking of those of you who do not have where your yard is stepping against the wall. All right. So you don't have the space. I have 11 acres of land in Claremont and a few more acres in Warrenham. I'm going to make the land available to people who really seriously are going to be taking this not as payment of rent. So we're not talking expenses here. We're talking of business. Okay. And all that's needed there is the building of a structure, which very low cost structure. I would say is going to cost about maybe close to $2,000. And that will have a 2-roomed staff quarters and the feed stores, all right, feed and medicine stores. And then now comes the runs. The runs, what was the figures I gave you per square meter? I'm talking to myself. Okay, I'll see if I can find you the calculations I did, the per square meter calculations I did. Now, so here's the thing. I'm willing to then have people, if you really not individually, or well, suppose individually people can do that individually if they've got the resources. What I'd like to do is, the reason I'm talking of a 2-room dwelling is so that if a person decides they want to go and stay there, there's a proper indawo lapho umuntu sibila yahlala khona, or it can be you can have stuff on it. The place in Warrenham will easily house make it 20 by, say 20 by 50. 20 by 50 times 10. 20 by 50 is 1,000. 1,000 square meters. 1,000 times 15 is 15,000. The place in Warringham can do 150,000 beds in terms of the, but obviously you don't go and produce 150,000 because they have to be in cycles, and some of the places have to remain empty for some time as you are producing e-locals. So meaning you can't actually have all of them stocked up at the same time. Okay. The place in Claremont, my thinking is they will take 2 of those runs. But you take it down and say, put it at 5,000 chicks, or 5,000 chickens to start off with. My concept, my mentality is, because these 2 people are very keen on this. In fact, Drummond Chickens wants to come and take a look at the facilities when they are ready. He couldn't say it, but what he wants to do is he wants us to contract a farm for him. The reason he cannot make a commitment is because a commitment is a legal thing. And at the moment, I'm not interested in necessarily a legal thing. I want to keep my options open. You want, essentially, to be able to do contract for this one and do contract for this one in different places. The reason being, if you do contract for this one, contract for that one, and then independent, There is no way you are going to have that whole model crashing at the same time. Is that making sense? Okay. So, I think that's about everything I needed to, and then we can just have some questions and then be done. The possibilities for me. Okay, so let me do what people love to do. I spoke to Branky yesterday. Branky was one of the topmost senior Zipra commanders, very close to Dabengo. And in fact, Mnangagwa, years back, was when they were attacking Zapu. Those were the two people. Mnangagwa was after Dabengo and Nkiwana. Nkiwana is a born-again Christian. And so I was very excited when I found out he was still alive. He's 90 years old, still full of beans, and we spent a wonderful time together. But he said something very interesting to me yesterday. He said to me, Piri, uyabona awusoke ubone amakhiwo besuka behamba besiya kwenza into umuntu eyedwa. And he said to me, they have more meetings to discuss business than they have businesses. In other words, the principle of business. You have 10 ideas, but you go and you execute one. But how did you choose the one to execute? Because you discussed 10. Is that making sense? Now, I know many of us were raised up very differently to that. We are individualists. Lone rangers, white people's businesses, more so, the Jews, are never done individually. Facebook, whatnot. When Warren Buffett started, all these people, you will not find. Jeff Bezos, now the richest man in the world, there is nothing of that which he went and did by himself. Our weakness lies in our selfishness. We have a mentality, and we have a negative mentality, and the negative mentality is, so I'd rather have nothing, with nothing, than the possibility of being with someone and have something. What is the advantage of being able to go ways with a person? Obviously, you don't go ways with a person who has no passion for that business. However, you can if the person is coming in as a technical partner. In other words, they're bringing in the money. They have no interest in the business. They say to you, look, I like your business idea. How much do you need? And you say, well, you know what, the project is 300,000. And they could say, okay, I'll put in 150,000 because I can see what you're doing. Watch the program called Shark Tank. If you watch the program called Shark Tank, they have their 5 multi-millionaires and billionaires. And all they do is they sit, the British one is called the Lion's Den. Is that Lion's Den? Right. They sit and different people come to present their business ideas and try and get funding from them. These are multi-millionaires. So what they do is you bring your idea, they then interrogate you like the CIO, and the moment when they see that there is opportunity here, they start fighting amongst themselves. This one says, okay, I'll give you so much money for this level of equity. And another one may counter that and say, okay, he's going to give you 100,000 for 25% equity. I'm going to give you 150,000 for 18% equity. Immediately, you know, there is money here. What do these multi-millionaires do in trying to invest in startup companies? That's how they make money. So they've got 18% there, 10% here, 15% here, 20% here, and they're not directly involved in the day-to-day running of this business. This is my model concerning this. I want to be able to, so I'm going to get involved in terms of the structures. I'm going to get involved from an oversight function. I don't want to get involved in the actual doing of the business, because that's not my passion. My passion is not in chickens. However, she loves chicken so much, she believes the chicken droppings smell like perfume. She loves the smell of chicken droppings. That's how you tell whether you enjoy it. When you have to walk in there like this, don't do it. You're not going to enjoy it. All right. You are hearing me talking about all the different research I have done and all. It's because this thing is not a joke for me. So I have all the documents from the South African Fowl Producers Association. I have the American standards. I have, well, there are no Zimbabwean standards, so we go and we borrow. What is my conviction? My conviction is simply this. Watch. If you went and if we did a 5,000 run, okay, let's take the lowest money. We'll go with contract. And we went 5,000 and we were making at 90 cents a bed. And 5% mortality is 254,750. Is that correct? Where did I miss it? You're going at 4,750 now at 90 cents. That's going to take out, say 10%, 475. Okay, also phone. Okay, meaning now, from 750 minus 450 will give you 300, so 275. You have 5,000 beds, 5% mortality gives you 4,750 beds at 90 cents. May not be correct, but it's close to that. All right. The issue is, if you are not willing to throw your money at it, it's because you don't believe in its viability. I never do anything that I don't go for broke on. I'm willing to sell my car right now. Market value of my car is 25,000. I'm willing to sell it for 16,000 because 16,000 will give me 40 winner heifers. And 40 winner heifers are worth the seeming 9,000 loss in value. Because if you believe in it, now, okay, what is investing? You know you are talking investment when investment is basically there is a wall. The better the investment is, the wall is made of rubber. The best is made of elastic. You hear? If it's a bad place to invest, it's made of brick. If I take my money, a bundle of 100 knots tied with an elastic, and I throw it against the wall, it will hit the wall and fall down. If it's made of rubber or elastic, if I hit it, it will bounce back and it will come back to me. But it would have registered that I hit it, but I've got it. That's what investment is. So if you don't believe it is elastic, don't throw your money. If I believe it is elastic, I'm prepared to take the only car I have, sell it. Why? Because if I believe in it, I know in the next 12 months, I'm going to be able to go and replace the car and buy another car. This is what I'm talking about, because, and the reason, by the way, we made you pay $5 was deliberate. It was to weed out any opportunist seekers. It was deliberate. It wasn't because it's costing $5. No, it was just a way of reducing the number of people. Now, so if I then can make 4,275 in that one there, okay? And by the way, these guys, a minimum chicks they will give us at a go is 2,000. Okay? That's minimum. Now, at this here, and you already have runs, foul runs, pens. I like pens. Pens is quick and easy. Runs. It doesn't sound right at all. Okay, so this is, by the way, 6 weeks. All right? In the system now, 3 weeks after getting the 5,000, I have another 5,000 because I have the capacity. In 6 weeks, I'm recording another 4,275. If I break up this here, this is 6 weeks, and this is going to be 9 weeks. Are you guys ready? 9 weeks is how many months? 2.5 months. In 2.5 months, you're making 8,500. Two and a half months, 8,500. How many 2.5 months are there in a year? Let's say there are 5. 8,500 times 5 is about 43,000. So I don't care whether we are saying, because you've got to stop having a tunnel vision. I don't care whether you're talking of 2, 3 people saying, okay, you know what, let's go this together. If you are able to do it without anybody, that's why. The only reason, by the way, I won't do this without anybody is because I don't want to run this. That's the only reason. Only reason I'll get involved with this is as a silent partner. But I've gone to show you the numbers. I've gone to show you the quantities. The Warringham one, you don't have to go, we don't have to go and build 10 structures that take 15,000. You go and you build one structure that takes 15,000. And with broilers, the beauty about the chicken runs is you don't have to build them and make them physically demarcated structures. The demarcations, the separations are done using plastic. You demarcate them using plastic. Or what is that Changanbeg? The Changanbeg plastic. Because that Changanbeg plastic is the one you are going to be using in winter now to close the sides. And it is the one you also use to regulate the ventilation. The 15 beds per square meter is predicated on free ventilation. That is umoya ozingenela wodwa. If you put cooling systems in there and heating systems, you go to 25 beds per square meter. Right. Questions, quiddities, quibbles, quotes, quotations, complaints. Yes, sir.
You mentioned grass to put if we went with
Zinc.
zinc. What about the possibility of infections? And
You know why if you heard when I was asking, I actually stalled a little bit. I don't actually believe in the possibility of infection, because if there was a possibility of infection, you wouldn't be thatching your house with grass. That's the first thing. Number two, in the rural areas, that's what you use to thatch your chicken runs. Number three, your chicken runs are, when you are treating them, when you're spraying, you actually spray the ground and you spray the roof, because your pathogens, particularly in heat, rise up onto the roof. So even if you have a zinc or an asbestos roof, you still have to go and spray. The concern, obviously, the one chicken runs. The one chicken run I saw, they've used zinc, but what this person did was he built the when's it gable, but Ikeblana, you know that house there, that funny looking house when you're going to Sunning Hill before the bridge, the one with an almost flat roof, right? He built something very close to that. Now, with the chicken runs, you actually don't have to waste material in terms of building them so high. Your chicken runs need to be, I would say, I'm 1.86, 2 meters is enough. Sorry? 2.6. Well, I suppose the other thing also depends on who you're listening to. You'll find people will differ in that then in that regard. But also you are then looking at design. Are you doing a one gable, or are you doing that gable, a peak gable? If you're doing a peak gable, then obviously you can't do 2 meters, because then what is going to be your gable at the end? So that would make sense if you pick up from 2 meters, your 60 then lifts that side. But for people, for instance, doing the one, you can easily go with 2 meters at the front. I haven't finished the work in terms of the watering troughs. I would prefer right now, because I don't think they're expensive, but I'll do the groundwork when I'm in South Africa. I want to go and look at nipple, because those to me would be much more effective, and also you don't waste water. Whereas your troughs, by the way, your chickens, these ongama broilers, to me it's actually wrong. I don't understand how cattle have to go to the abattoir and be inspected for slaughter and not chickens, because the chickens have a much more higher chance of carrying pathogens and diseases than locals. And so if there was any focus in terms of that, to me it should be on the chickens than on the locals. And by the way, I saw you were getting surprised when I was saying you divide them using, you know, those changan, this big, by the way. That's the height, that big. So when you do your chicken run, you can do your chicken run open like this. Then you receive, let's say you receive 10,000 chicks. When you receive your 10,000 chicks, first pillar there to the other pillar, that gets run, and that's where your chicks are then for 2 weeks. 2 weeks later, your chicks are then moved, and then you take 2 pillars, 2 pillars, and then you put your, and the beauty is you are not bound to a particular design, because you can always, should it become this way and that way. Remember, percent upon my pillars, so your pillars are the ones that you use to run your plastic. So you can run your plastic, and it's a facility where you can, that side you can do 10,000 chicks, but you can go and cut that into half and do 5,000 chicks. And the only difference is, you remember, those birds don't fly, don't move. They are like some Christians in church.
Thank you very much, Eddie.
Yeah.
Maybe if I can just comment slightly on the roof that you spoke about.
Right.
I've noticed this with a friend of mine. I think a gabled roof is always better.
Right.
Because when the roof is just a single slope like that,
Right.
with the quality of the iron sheets we are getting now,
That we get,
the
right.
thin ones, if wind blows from one side and goes under the roof,
It could lift it up.
it lifts that roof.
Right.
So so obviously, when I'm using a lighter gauge of the iron sheets,
Right.
I'd prefer to have it in gable,
Right.
so that there's no strong wind coming from one direction.
Right.
The other thing again which I wanted to ask is the side of infrastructure. I
The
think the side of putting up the infrastructure.
side.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
we've talked about the production side here. And I think we'd also ask maybe that you also speak into the cost of infrastructure side.
Right. Ukuthi lapha I gave ama figures emuntwini who I should not have given figures to. I did my own costing, so these are not from the. Why am I suffering when the universal church is nearby? Right. Right. I find it. Right. The one that I have here, the one that I did for him, for his project, was $48.94 per square meter. That includes the roofing. Yeah, $48.94 per square meter. And for this one here, it was for his project, which was 16 square meters. And on 16 square meters, we're working on 20 beds per square meter. And that came up to $783. In our instance, why quite a lot of this will be mitigated is because the gum poles, which seem for some reason to be preferred in terms of chicken run construction, naturally grow at Mount Garrison. So they are actually available for harvesting and for construction. The bricks are 85 cents for the concrete blocks. They're 85 cents. The concrete for the floor is presumably where your expense is, but depends on how you do it. So what you do is you go and you prepare the ground and you compact the ground. After you compact the ground, so a lot of this you've got to you'll cough out. So you compact the ground yourself, and then you put a layer of a slab. You're not building a house, remember. So slab double story. You just remember the whole thing is to avoid a enhlabat floor, because enhlabat floor has a problem. When it's raining, yes, we know it's not raining inside there, but your seepage is going to be coming through. Yeah, so you just need that. In some instances, abanye actually won't even go with that expense. There are cheaper ways of doing it, and one of the cheap ways of doing it is you can use ama pallets. Ama pallets, Lana, you can go and buy them for $1 or $1.50 or $2. If you can then lay ama pallets, Lana, lapo, then where you can get in South Africa, I know you can go and pick up ama boards at the rubbish dump, boards of wood. So you can pick up the boards and then hammer them onto the pallets. The thing is, you want to avoid moisture on it, and you want it to be a surface that you can simply clean. So the beauty of a concrete floor is then you go and you get your straw. You yanda the straw circle upana. Then after whatever time, you just come who's a keeper. Then you go and sell to the farmers who do feed lotting, or you do the feed lotting yourself. Yeah. So my whole concept, as I'm saying, is if you can have, but specifically for your chicken feed, you would go a long way. Yeah. Those things eat. Yeah. If you can have, I would think, 200 bags of maize is nothing. If double the size of this here, proper intensive maize, you'd get close to 100 bags of maize. Is 36 36 to 6,000 what? Kgs. There you are. So, and we do have land much bigger than this where we can put. Now, can you imagine if you can put, say, 2 hectares of maize, 1 hectare of sunflower? You're finished. Awusafuni bumbulu and awubutholi bumbulu. Any other observations? Yeah, please go ahead.
I was about to make the last point.
Right.
So you quite rightly stated that this business is about volumes. And now you talked about the 2 models, the model of contract and the model of actual
Your personal,
production. Yes. Wouldn't it help if I'm starting out, I don't have anything right now, if maybe in the initial stages I concentrate more on contract so that I don't have funds now going towards stock feeds and all that until I've developed capacity, so that in a shorter space of time, I'm talking very large volumes. Wouldn't it be better for me to concentrate at the initial stage on contract?
in the ideal world, Drummond and all these guys would come and build the chicken runs for you when you just need to have a land and prove which one is land. They'll come and build the chicken runs, deliver the chicks, the stock feed, everything else, and then come and collect. We don't live in the ideal world. There are, at the present moment, there is no one offering contract here. Not a single person is offering contract. So, the closest, like I said, when I sat with Udramond, Ute ese when he then discovered that he was not talking to a villager who was just hoping to make some quick money, because now we actually got to talking and we ended up talking about the feedlots, and he actually was asking me, would please let me know when I can come and take a look at the feedlots. I don't know what, because Otramond inkomo zise West Nick, so I don't know what his interest Lapa is with feedlots, but he got so excited about the feedlot side as well. And his word to me was, look, I can't make you any promises that we will contract, but the thing is, we need the chickens and all in all, and we are actually here to have a meeting with his sister, because Utatewabu, who apparently is a bit of a scatterhead, who's running the chicken side. But Yena, because he's the one who's producing the stock feeds and all, Nguye Futi, who's running the actual production of the chickens. The guy who does the project Unoko is reports to Kek Lapa Guye Mr. Drummond. So bottom line, like I'm saying, he couldn't say let's sign a contract, because signing a contract is now a commitment, and whoever, if he breaches it, he knows he's in trouble. And he's trying to protect himself with I'm going to sign a contract with you and say I'm going to give you 10,000 chicks. Then his cut is in change. So Mina, I'm left with a problem and you can sue me. So what I then say to him is going to know, I mean, I'm not interested either in going for the legal locozen. What I want us to do is I want us to do the chicken runs and everything in such a way, when I take him there, he's going to look at these things and he's not going to want any of his competitors coming anywhere near. I know, and even Kirk knows, he definitely wants us to contract for him. But I am proceeding as if there is no contract, which is why I was saying, the preferred for me is, I come here, I have a capacity for 15,000, but I go and I do 3,000, nigelo capacity at 12,000. So I'm building capital ngapa, but ngapa I'm making the bulk money, because the bulk money also ensures I'm independent. So I'm not doing as big as, what happens with Sasa saying KE 15,000 on the basis of a contract. Abba says, I know, you know what, government has said this or government has said that, and so, we are going to reschedule this and see in the near future. If your project is based on the dynamics that are brought home, that means so, but in terms of the contract, these are the numbers we were saying, and we are basing those numbers on 50,000 and on 5,000. And I'm saying, nxa sends a contract, we are now talking 50 to 100,000 chickens. Because if we are saying there is someone who's slaughtering 9,000 a day, 9 times 3 is 27. So his offer is slaughtering 270,000 a month. Tina Vestekona in a week, what was it, 30,000? 23,000, I think, in a week. Now, so you are then looking and saying to yourself, how far can I go? Reality is, there is no limit. Yeah. Right now, besides what, there's a possibility that there could be a violation here, Yama codes, our city bylaws. All you do is you just go rent a place like this here and start doing the chickens. Because the place is already ready, it's waiting for you to contract, absolutely. In an ideal world, I'd be saying to all of you, the only thing we need to do, let's go and set up the structures, then we go and get a local. You can actually survive, or rather not survive, make money from contract without ever having to do your own. The only caution I am giving is your life is in someone's hands. And on a Saturday, umuntu will be saying, so, yeah. Any other yes answer? Yeah, before we bring in new stock, we've got to fumigate and to quarantine.
Okay, so would it be ideal, like for example, in the example that we're using now, 15,000 bed fowl run at, say, in Warrenham, if you build one structure like that, and then you are bringing in your chickens at different stages, how then do you fumigate a certain area without affecting the rest of the chickens?
Okay. When you are doing a cycle with the chicks, you don't have to finish the cycle and then fumigate. You do So you've got your structure, and if we say the cheeks and intermediate, and then to maturing. All right. So you brought in 10,000 chickens, and here you've now got 9,900, and let's say here you end up with 9,700. What you do is you can have, when these move from here to there, you then bring in another 10,000. So you literally cycle on top of, but you cannot run successive and continuous cycles. So you would, and at the moment, I don't have, I know I've got it in my notes. I'll let you guys know what the international accepted standards are. Is ukutkhona, then utusuqeda, I don't know whether it's 2 or 3 cycles that you then run, and then you've got to stop. But the whole thing is, in the operations that I want us to set up, is you will then have that. So you will run, say, first batch. That's batch 1, and this becomes batch 2. All right, and remember, in terms of the timing, this is January, and this will come out mid-Feb. Batch 1, and then batch 2 will come out end Feb. Right? If, for instance, you are running a 2-batch cycle, you could have then, we said that's January, mid-January. Lapa, this is February. Right? This is beginning February. Batch 1. And batch 2. Then you leave this one empty. All right? So, because your capacity, say, only allows you 20,000. Your capacity allows you 20,000, but you've got to have a capacity of 30,000. Because you don't want to go figure cut where you have nothing, because you are waiting for e-cycle. So when these, before these are finishing, this is in quarantine. Making sense? Before these are mature, these have now received stock. By the time Lezi says here is mature, the 21 days quarantine is finished here. We've got fresh stock coming in here. Lezi zisia mature, this one is empty. Or rather, these are mid-maturity. This one is empty. By the time this one is finishing quarantine, this one now is empty and this one has received. So you've got a continuous cycle of your 20,000. Sometimes it will go above 20,000, or it will go below 20,000. But the thing is, you want to have a critical figure that you're working with, divert from follow thing for a long time. Yeah. So you will have to have if empty pens for quarantine purposes. Empty runs. Okay. Any other question? Okay. Yebo Moy. Pleasure.
The fact that there is a need for people to work together, and I believe that there is power in numbers. But how then do we ensure that it doesn't become a cooperative? Because a cooperative, for me, I've seen it doesn't work. How can we work in teams with the confidence that really it is going to work, rather than a situation where we begin cooperatives again and we find that people... it doesn't work?
Cooperative, definitely not. In fact, Pastor Neta of, what is it called? New Life, has gotten Ama Church, Praise and Worship Center, Lutheran, Brethren in Christ, are all involved in this as churches. I told him, River of Life does not do business as a church. That's not something negotiable. So I shut it down when he started talking about it. We are not living at the same level of revelation. Right, so what happens is you decide she, because she knows her, or she feels confident about her, the two of them must then go and talk. This is not a church business. It is not being run by the church. It is not. The only reason we are here is to give each other ideas and direction. That's the only reason why we're here. All right. The runs that we will build in Warringham and Claremont, we don't have to build them in Warringham and Claremont. If somebody can come and say, "Hi, mina ngle ndawo yami lapana, I've got the space and kuseduze and kungcono," by all means, I'll tell you, because my interest is that people must go and make money, not make expenses. All right. So once we can agree on that, then the modalities of how it should be done, this is where now the two of you talk, and then if you want to submit it to the leadership, you then come to me or one of the pastors and say, "Hey, we just need your wisdom. We said, we spoke, this is what we're talking about." Then the pastor is able to say, "Okay, right, but fix this, fix that. Don't, right here, you need to sign." The ones we will do in Claremont and Warringham are not our pens. The land is mine, so it's not possible legally to have our pens. When I was work, rent endlini yomuntu, then wakhi cottage, ibe cottage yakho. Ungayakhi cottage ngeyomnikazi womhlabathi. Okay. So what I will do with Warringham and Claremont is persons will come and we will say, right, look, because my interest is to see Abantu Besiti make progress. So we will then sit down and I will say, okay, these, we'll sit down together, look at the expenses. So these crawls are going to cost us 2,500 together, where the person, either yena kumbe the staff is using basamba bayhlala khona. My preference, let me tell you now, is you don't do chickens by remote control. You will have to be there yourself. I don't care whether you've got your house in Kumalo. You are going to have to make a decision. Either nxa ulomuntu osebenzayo uyabisele ngale ntambama ekuseni udrive futhi ubuyele uyetshona khona ngale. Right. Now, so the crawls are not going to be cooperatively owned. You may contribute to their construction, but technically, legally, they are mine because they are on. Your assurance is, so then what happens tomorrow when I want to leave? You leave. I mean, you're not paying rent, you're not paying nothing. the boreholes we will drill there, you're not paying for. I'm going to pay for the boreholes myself. So I'll drill the boreholes. You may pay part of the expenses for the water reticulation. But remember, you have no expense on the land. I'm the one with the expenses on the land. So whether you stay there 6 months, or whether you stay there 6 years, or whether you stay there 60 years, all you are doing really is you are harvesting the benefit of something that doesn't belong to you. Is that making sense? But my request is go and get this sorted out. Find umuntu. We are not forming cooperatives. We are not saying, Zwandoban, you are paid up. You've got, but all I'm trying to do is to open up our minds. The 200 chickens, yes, as chair, they are not for business. Don't call yourself a business person. That one, if you are doing 200-300 chickens, you're experimenting. Now, let's go and start do the real thing. That 1,000 chickens, like I said, that's the minimum. That's really if you are serious enough, a way will be made. Yeah, and that's the reason, by the way, I insisted that I wanted people with commitment on. And like I said to you, the person who precipitated this, someone said to me, "Have you spoken to her?" I said, "No, I've not spoken to her, and I'm not going to talk to her." Why? Because I wanted it to be something. And remember, when it's not in your heart, you do it very poorly. You lose sasa. What's the we done? God bless. How do you get rid of the Ismail is actually not, it doesn't per se come from the chickens, but from the droppings. So what you do is you've got to manage the droppings. In this instance, you don't have to manage the droppings. I'll manage the droppings for you very easily. I will collect them, and I will. Yesterday, when I went to Amara, there was a gonyet with a trailer loading the droppings, gonyet and trailer. That was like gold. I envied that gonyet because that's all stock feed that they were carrying. So the smell, you don't have to worry. There will be no smell as long as I live. Yes. Or are you talking specifically in Kumalo, or are you talking of the project? Yes. Yes. Yeah. So he thought maybe you were referring to how do we manage the smell in Kumalo. No, it's not the smell in Kumalo. It's the smell in terms of the project. There are little things that we will need to do. Whenever you have chickens, you're going to have rats. Where you have rats, you have snakes, but all of those are very simple to manage. I'm hoping we will find a way to get it, because there is a spray for snakes that is used. There is also a little thing you plug in for rats instead of poison. You just take that thing, you plug it in onto electricity. You won't see a rat anywhere near there, because it produces a frequency which only the rats can hear. And when the rats hear that, they run. It's like anointing oil, but in another form. All right, shall we stand? Father, thank you for grace. Years and times generations of poverty, wrong thinking that you are still speaking to us to undo. Would you now, my Father, help us? Thank you for revelation knowledge. Thank you for wisdom. Be glorified from today. in Jesus' name. Amen. God bless you guys. Go and start working on this. I will 6, 7, 9, 10. Hygro will be providing will be providing training for $20 at their premises. Before that happens, from your $5, I'm going to do you a file that's going to start you off. I'll do a file that has quite a lot of information concerning this, so that at least you have the very basic place from where to start from, and you can then go and do loads of chickens. All right.